Hi all, welcome to the first stream of the weekend, and we're back to solving chess puzzles. But this time it's going to be specifically going to be on endgames because I've been reading a few books on endgames. So yeah, with that said, let's get started. So it's white to draw. Okay, I mean threat right now is king g4 and then capturing the pawn, and I don't believe I can defend this pawn with my king. However, I have got king e5 here, but then he can play f6, and then I have to go back somewhere, and then yeah. However, I can play king d4 because if he plays f4, gf4, king f4, then I just have to get in the way of the f pawn in such a way that I get the opposition at the right time. Because then king d3, king f3, king d2, king f2, king d1, king f1. At some point of time, he can play f6 or f5, or maybe let's say king d4, f4, gf4, king f4, and now he has the opposition. I think that would be winning, right? Okay, so let's say king e5, f6, king e6, king g4. I gobble up the pawn on f6, and then he cannot take my pawn because that's a draw. King e5 is what I'm betting on. That's where my money is for this puzzle. I think king e5 should do the trick because let's see, king e5, pawn f6 check, king e6, and then what? We can go back to g6. Then I can go to e7, and then what? e7 maybe? Yeah, I think king e5 should work here. Got it. And now I can not take the opposition. However, I can outflank him with king f4, but then he has got king f6. And then if I play g4, fg4, king g4, he can play king g6, and now he has the opposition. And even if I get in the way of the pawn with, let's say, yeah, okay, that is interesting. King g4, my bad, king f4, just push a pawn, right? I think that works. King f4 is what I'm betting on. King f4, king f6, pawn push takes, king g4. Yeah, that should work. Oh, then maybe go back. No, that's not the one. Okay, let's have a look at the solution. Okay, interesting, but let's see what's the issue with after this king f4. What's the issue with king f4? He has got king f6, right? If I push the pawn, takes. Oh my goodness, I guess I missed king e5 here. King e5 should be winning, right? Yeah. Even if I come here, yeah, that's fine, that's winning. Anyways, let's move on to our next puzzle. Let's white to draw once again. Okay, so maybe king d5 over here, and then what? You get the king d7, and then you can come back maybe. Because yeah, king d5 looks pretty natural, and it's, I don't know. Otherwise, you can play king c6, maybe try to come there. But yeah, king c6, we'll go for two in a row. Let's see solution. Maybe I'm playing too fast here. Okay, so what's the problem with king d5 here? King d7, yeah, and then if I come back, king the c6 maybe. It's this, yeah, c6 takes, and then what? Got it. Black to win. Okay. So right now, I think I can pick king f7, get the opposition. None of his pawns can move, right? I mean, you can, yeah, yeah. I think king f7. He has to move his king. Let's say g5. c6 is possible then, right? I mean, at some point of time, I would love to play my king to f6. That's not possible. And also, let's say king d6 is just bad because king f6, and then I have to say goodbye to my pawn. Anyhow, that's happening, right? Yeah, that's happening. I have to win. Okay, now one good option that I have is of b5. If either pawn takes, let's say a pawn takes, and it's just winning. Yeah. And if this b pawn takes, it is, yeah, it's still winning, right? I think b5 should do the trick here. Hmm. I mean, I can come in front of the pawn, and then maybe you can play king d4, push. You can go for e5, and then I queen. He can give me a check. And if I come down to, let's say, e8, yeah, I think that should be it, right? Instead of coming to the last rank. I mean, king d7 should be good here, right? King d7, let's say king d5, c2, uh, and then what? e5, I get a queen. He pushes with e6 check. I go down, let's say to e8, right? And then he can further push me down, but then yeah, that should be winning, right? Yeah, e7 or d7 should not be a threat because I already have a queen. Let's just push. Yeah, good. Okay, white to draw. King h3 looks good because, okay, now the problem is this pawn is a pass pawn. Yeah. Although I am in the square of this pawn, so that should, I mean, I should have enough resources with my king, and because my h pawn is also a fast pawn, so my opponent also cannot leave the pawn just like that. So let's see, king h3. Let's see, he goes for d4. King g3, d3. Let's say king f3. He captures my pawn. King e3. Let's see, he further pushes me to e2. I mean with d2. King d2. King is here, and then what? The other thing could be I can just play king f3, let him take on h3, and then I can come on h4 and then come up with king f4. I think this looks good. I mean king f3, king h4, king f4 can move up. I mean, he can not really promote with the pawn. Sorry. Yeah, I think this should work here. No, but the problem is if I king f3, king h4, king f4, king h5, king f5 is still possible, but after king f6 I really can't do much because then I will be out of the square of the d5 pawn. I mean king h3 is forced to move the pawn, right? I think I'll go for king h3 here. That's so interesting because now I'm forcing him to make a move with this pawn or king, because if with king f3 he can just capture a pawn without any fight, right? So let's give him some resistance with king h3. Oh, I guess king f3 was the move then. Okay. Sure, how to proceed with this. Oh, really? Oh, I see, because now the king is not in the... My opponent's king is not in the zone. Okay. I didn't think that one the puzzle would end in that way. Okay, white to win. I think I can invade with king e6, right? And then he has to create some counterplay with maybe like what? King a4, capture the pawn on f6, king a3, I capture another pawn on d5, e5, capture my pawn on a2, and then I can just like king d5, and it will take him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves to promote, right? Because the king is on a2. That should work, right? Because I have great major, I have good activity with my king on the king side, and these pawns are vulnerable. And now he has to lose this pawn, right? What? Okay, let's have a look at what's wrong with king f5 here. It's not h5. Oh, I see. a3 maybe? And then a6. Oh, a4, and then I'm in Sook's wrong. And I'm losing my central pawn, which then will be eaten up by my opponent's king, and then this e pawn will become a pass pawn. Black to win. Okay, taking on g2 looks very tempting and very logical as well, because I have already got my h4 pawn up there, and then h3 would also become weak. But the only problem with king takes g2 is he'll play maybe f4, king h3, king f3, and then this pawn is kind of stuck. And then if you think about this, none of my other pawns can also move, because we have got a pawn on f4, which restricts the movement of the g pawn, and similarly presence of e pawn restricts the movement of f pawn, and the a pawn restricts the movement of b pawn, and it will be a draw. Yeah, so g2, f4, maybe king g3. Or because his g pawn is not going anywhere, I can play g5 here first. And then let's say king e4, king g2, king f5, king h3, king g5, king g2, king g5, h3, king f6, h2, king f7. I promote with the queen, right? So g5 looks good. But let me just see. King g3, f4. Now h3 can't be taken. Let's say if I capture on h3, king f3, and now it's a draw, almost a draw. King h2, king f2, h3. Oh wait, this is a draw. Let's see. King g2, f4, king h3, king f3, h2, king f2, h3. Yeah, king f1, king h1, or maybe then king f1 I can play king g3, king g1, and then it's a draw, because I can't prevent him from coming to h1. Although I can then go back. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Let's go with this only. Was it g5 then? Yeah. But it's interesting why I can't just capture on g2 just like that. Yeah, he'll play f4. I can take on h3, king f3, king h2, king f2, h, or maybe not h3. Yeah, let's say h3. The b3 here. Oh, okay, got it. And now I'm a Zugzwang. f1. Come to maybe what, like, and then it's a draw. Got it. White to draw. Okay, so the simple threat over here is king f5 and then king g4. But because my pawn is on d5 and another one is on f4, my opponent's king cannot enter in my territory with king e6 or king e5, right? So the most logical move is king d4, king f5. Now the threat is king g4, king e3, king g4, king f2. But then you can just capture on f4, and then this becomes a passer, right? Without having any resistance on the adjacent file. But it's also interesting. I can capture on g5, king g5, and then king c6. Now, if he goes for hunting my g pawn with king g4, king d7, king g3, and now it's winning for white with king e7. He moves. I mean, he's on g3. He moves with this h pawn with h5, h6, h4, d7, h3. I promote, right, and then h2. Now the problem is because it's a rook pawn, my king is not in the relevant area. It's not nearer to the pawn, and then it's going to be a draw, right? Yeah. I think king c6 looks good here. But if I directly play king c6, gf4, gf4, king f5, king d7, and he can come to e5, right? Because his h pawn is just going to queen anyhow, right? And king c6, maybe. Yeah, okay. Now the only question is, I mean, king c6 is what I'm going to play. Now the only question is, should I capture on g first, g5 first, or let him capture? I think I'm going to play king c6 because I don't want, if I capture on g5, he can capture the g pawn, and now he has got access to e5 here. So maybe I'll go for king c6 here. Okay. If that's not the case, then maybe takes on g and now king c6, yeah. And now I can also play something like g4. He comes here, and it will take him what? How many? 5 moves. It will take me what? 3 moves. So maybe yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe just come back. How about let me have a look at why king c6 directly does not work. h5. Oh, oh, nice. Did not see that. Why to draw? Okay, so our pawns are locked. None of the pawns on the king side or the in the center cannot move. And because I've got my pawn on the fifth rank, he cannot just play b5 right away because I can take without pawn. So king a7, king c7. Eh, I think this is the only move here, right? I have to see. After a7, c7, I have to play king a8. but the only thing that I'm really afraid of is king c6, king b8 maybe, and king b5. I can capture. He can also capture. Now he can start going towards my e pawn. Yeah, I think it is mandatory to play this, right? Obviously, going on the e file is just not going to work out. He needs 3 moves to promote. I need what? 4 moves to promote. I think I'll go with king g5 here. Okay. Now it's interesting because he has got another pass pawn of his own on the g4 square. I think queen f4 check looks pretty interesting because then he can. I mean, but then he has got king h3. I have got queen a3 check. At which point of time can play something like king h2 or king g2. G2. King f4 is also interesting, right? I'm not sure why songs are not playing here. Oh, is it? Yeah. King f4 is what I'm going to play. But then after king h3, I don't have a lot of checks available. Go for king a3 here. Was it king f4 then? Queen f4. Ooh, okay. Let's have a look at the solutions then. Oh wow, nice. But I went for something like 8 takes b6 on posant. Nice. But what if king h4, queen d8? Okay. Not sure how that would how we would proceed with this, but it's black to win. I guess this should be easy for black, right? Because this king has more activity. King g4. I think what white wants to do is he would like to get his king on the f file and take um, the opposition with the f file, right, along the file. So king g4. What's the best move? Let's say king c3, king h3. Maybe let's say king g4, king c2, king h3, king d2, king h2. That's not enough, right? So king g4 is what I'm looking for. And now let's just restrict my opponent's king. And I was trying to get to f1, which will be disaster for me, I believe. Yeah. Now it's just a simple pawn push. Should win. Next, let's move on to the next puzzle. White to win. Win. Okay, I have got some queen side majority. I think what black is looking for is king f4 and capture on f3. I can play b4, a b4, king b4, king f4, a4, and then yeah, I mean that should be winning because he needs to first capture on f3, a5, e5, a6, e4, a7, e3, a8, e2. And luckily this is a central pawn and I can stop him very easily because my king is also near, so that will help me. So, I mean, it's on b4 at that point of time because there is no way I can prevent him from playing f4. So yeah, I think b4 should be the way to go. Okay, let's have a look at the solution. Okay, now that's interesting. If I directly play b4, what's the issue? Even if he plays a4, maybe let's say okay, f g4, and I'll capture this way. A takes b4, king b4, king f4, a4, e5. Okay, now this is nothing but, I mean, if we just go for this, we both queen at the same time, but he queen to check, right? But after king f4, maybe I play, let's see, e5, maybe king c3. Yeah, I can do some sort of, I can share some sort of resistance towards the e pawn, e4, g3, a5, king f2. Okay, now he has got nice. White to win. Hmm. Okay. So I think I'll start with the obvious move: king d6, king d4, king c6, king c3, king b6, king b3, king c5, king a4, king b6, king b4, and then c5, a4, c6, a3, c7, a2, queen, queen. His king is here, my king is here. This is somehow I can take advantage of the position of the relative pieces. Let's say queen c5 check. And at which point of time he can, let's say, if he goes to maybe a4, that's bad because that's followed by queen a5 and I win the queen on a1. So he can play b3, at which point of time I, let's see, queen b5 check. Again, going to a4 is not possible. In this case, that would be illegal. King a3, queen d3 check, king a2, queen a6. I mean, had my king been on c4, that would have added some support to my queen. But let's go for king d6. Oh, nice, 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 nice. King c6 at this point of time. King b3, king c5, king a4, king a6, king b4, or maybe king a5, king b3, king. Yeah, obviously it makes sense to make him play with his rook pawn because that way he only has got one file, and that would make that's the b file to get away from his pawn, and that kind of restricts his movement, right? So yeah, king c6 is what I'm going to go for. What? This? Okay. Well, that's interesting. I think that was pretty obvious. But let's see, what's the issue with king c6 here? I think it's this point of time. What's the issue with king c6? King a4, king b6, king b3, a4, push, 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 push. Get a queen, he get a queen, and then what? Ah, I thought he would be on b4, but he can be on b3 as well, right? At which point of time we can just give him a check, he can just run away. However, let's see what would have happened if he would have played his king to b4 now. Yeah, does it change anything? c5, push, 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 push. And then what? Queen c5, yeah. King b3, queen d5. King c2. I think this should be a drawish position. King a2, yeah. Queen c4. 1. Queen e4. King b2. Yeah, this should be a drawish game. Okay. White to draw. Um, let's say I capture on g4, king g4, king e3, king f5, king e2. Yeah, this should be easy, right? Now I just come in front of the pawn because the key squares for this pawn are these two, I believe. These six, right? Just come in front of the pawn, take opposition. This should be easy. Come in front of the pawn, take the opposition. And take the opposition, then we can come in front of the pawn, take the opposition. And that should draw. Nice. White to win. Okay, so my c5 pawn is under attack and there's no way I can save it. However, I can play king f6, king f6. Let's say if he's foolish enough and he goes for king c5, king g7, and let's say king d4, king f7. Yeah, that's the spinning, right? However, after king f6, he can try to. He cannot actually because he has to take care of the c5 pawn, right? Yeah, this should be simple enough, I guess. There was, okay, my bad. There is some error. Maybe I'm not connected to the internet. Yeah, this should work now. Doesn't matter. I don't think so. But then the problem is it's a bishop pawn, right? Now, now I can. It's going to take me 2 moves to promote, right? I can come to f5 here, maybe. He captures, I push, he gets away, I push, and then he's there. Yeah, yeah. I think I have to move my king, but the question is f5 or g5. I wish I had paid more attention to the basic queen versus second pawn of endgames. Probably after the stream, definitely. So king g5. I think f5 should also do the trick, if I'm not wrong. Yes, I'll go for f5 here. I think it's g5 then. What? Oh, oh, I thought the pawn would be on f2. My bad. Black 2 would win. Mhm. Okay. So he would need one, two, three, four moves to promote. I need one. Get away. Push, 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 push. I need what? One. Or I can also play d5 at this point of time. And if he plays g5, d4, g6, d3, g7, d2, he comes with, he promotes to a queen, I promote to a queen. Yeah. However, he can also play captures, which for a tough time I can just run away with my pawn, and that should be it. Yeah, I cannot capture on the d pawn on the c4 square because then the queen will promote with check. So let's just go for the promotion right away like this. There's a better move. Okay, great. Black to draw. Okay, so this pawn is a pass pawn. Okay, so I'm thinking about capturing on h4 this way because I mean I can keep my pawn on h4, but the problem is I really cannot. I'm not sure how if I should capture on g4 or should I on h4 or should I reserve my tempi? Or I could also capture on e4, right? Let's say if I capture on e4 because I'm not really afraid of taking on g4 till the time I have my f pawn. So he captures e4. If he plays c4, then d4, king d4, king b4. I guess that's a win for white with the c pawn. He can promote very easily. But after e4, if he plays c4, then capture on h4, c5, h3. I mean, my idea is to get the f pawn rolling down the board, but I don't think so. After c5, I have enough time to pursue my ideas of h4 and h3. Also, king e4, he can just improve his king's position with king b4 maybe, and then with king king d5, that would be interesting. But then after king e4, he can just play c4, right? Taking away the crucial d5 square. Also, now the problem is I have to somehow capture because otherwise, if I don't, and if I try to move away with my king somewhere, at some point of time he can capture on g5, I capture on f5, and then this is also a passed pawn, right? Without any resistance on the adjacent file. That's what I mean. So I guess I have to capture this c4, king d4, king b4. and then there's nowhere to stop this pawn, right? However, I can also capture on h4. C4 is in a threat. Mm, I think capturing on e4 should make sense here. Yeah. And now he has what? He has got 4 moves to promote his pawn. G4, C5, H3, H captures, and then I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves to promote. And also the presence of the G pawn makes my life a little hard because this is a bishop pawn, which I have to acknowledge. So, uh, let's see. King B4, King B4 does not work, right? King E5, King B5 does not work because then even if I play King D6, he's got King B6, and there's no way I can really contest the squares because at some point of time he'll just play King C5, right? So that's not happening. Oh my goodness, that was a mouse slip. Maybe H4. No, that's not happening. What then? Not sure. I've played all the logical moves. Let's see what's right move here. Okay, so after King this, King C8, King C6, and now I can maybe G4, H4, got it. Nice, nice, nice. Black to draw. I think if, let's say if I try to protect the pawn, King D5, King F4, King D5, King F4, and then I have to somehow let go of the E4 pawn. Hmm. King D5, King F4 does not work. However, I can play King D4, but then he has got King G5, right? Yeah. It's a bit tricky because I really don't see if black has some good attacking chances. Okay, maybe let's say King D5, King F4, King D6. If he captures on E4, that's a yes. Then it's like King E6, King F4, King F6, Then he can play g4, right? Yeah. And I'm not sure if after, let's see, king d5, king f4, king d4, g5, e3, fe3, king e3, king g6, king f3, king g5, king g3, king g5, and then it's winning pawn in game, right, for white. King c6, king e4, king c4, but then he can play king f4, d4. Yeah. I actually have no clue how to proceed with this one. I think king c5 looks somehow interesting. After king e4, I've got king e6, but then yes, 3 versus 2 majority on the queen side. I'm going to go for king d5. I don't know. I don't have a follow up for this, but because I have to make a move, let's go for this. Okay. And maybe I can. I mean, he's going to play king g5 anyhow. So what? What if I play? If I play king d6, he can just cap. He does not have to capture the pawn. First of all, he can just play king g5, right? So maybe king e6, king e4. Yeah, I'm not sure though. Okay, let's have a look at the solutions. Wait, I did go for this line, but isn't this winning? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Black to win. Okay, I can just play h4 at this point of time because there is no point of playing king f5 because he'll play king f3 and then maybe h4. That's also interesting. King f5, king f4, h4. At some point of time, what? Oh, is it? What's the problem with the h4, h3, king f3, king g2? I'm still getting up. Oh, I see. Now I'm not getting any queen here. Got it. That would be a draw. White to win. Okay, king e6, king g3, king d6, king g2, king c6. That should work, right? Because we don't have anything else in this position. Problem with this move. Maybe this? Oh, I see. Oh, I did not see my b5 pawn is hanging. Oh no, it wasn't. I played b5, my bad. Nice, nice, nice. But then what's the problem? Do I get a queen before black gets a queen? Yeah, got it. Oh, okay, then it won't be a stalemate because he has got a lot of pawns. Got it. White to win. Nice. White to win. The G pawn is under attack. I think Black's king's position is a little not so good in my opinion because he has to somehow move his king at some point of time. Let's say G takes f5, G takes f5, h3. But then he has got king e4, king c4, king f4. Then if let's say I push for e5, yeah, I think it is either h3 or g takes f5. Um, okay. Gf5, Gf5, h3, king e4, king c4, king f4, d5, king g3, d6, f4, d7, f2, d8 queen, f3, f2. Now this pawn is on f2 is here. That should be enough because this is a bishop pawn and my king would be closer to the pawn. So I guess that should be good for white. Come on, h3. No, what's the position? Wait. But why can't I just take here? Oh yeah, you can play h6. Yeah, okay, then I'll be in a zook's wrong. Got it. Goodness, that's a pathetic performance. White to draw. Okay, I guess king f5, king f5, g4, hg4, check, h6, check. Yeah, okay, this should work, right? White to win. I thought I'll do a better performance in the pawn end games. Anyhow, white to win. Yeah, okay. I guess probably this is going to be the last puzzle for the stream, and I want to win this one. King e3 should be the move. H g5, king f5. Then I can play. Oh wow, this is interesting. Let's see. King g5, king f5, g6, king g6. Oh, no, it doesn't work because king f4. Then he has got the opposition. Yeah. H5 looks good. Although my opponent's king is in the square of the pawn, but the idea is to get my king in a better position. So yeah, I think h5 should make sense here. And now the idea is to get my opponent's king away from the action. Yeah, this should work, right? Nice. Let's see. Okay, so I'm on 2199. Uh, I guess my rating is not visible, right? Maybe I'll add in the next stream. But yeah, I'm on 2199. The idea is to get to at least 2200 because I started with 2230, I guess, something in that range. So yeah. Okay, so it's black to win. I think it's one of those fundamental chess end games that we have in front of us. So if you look at this end game, he needs two moves to promote. So I really can't just go for h3 because then e7, h2 he promotes. I also promote, but then he just wins my queen h8, right? So maybe the idea is to play king g6, right? And if he plays king e7, king f7, he has got to promote to defend the pawn with d6, but it's not enough because king e8, and then he's out of the square of the pawn, and that will be just not good for black. So king e6, king d6, king f6, king e7, king f7. So maybe, okay, wait, this is interesting. King g6, king d6, h3, king e7, king f7, king d7, h2. Oh, wait. Oh my goodness, I'm it's black to win. I was playing with five pieces. It's black to win, yeah. Yeah, so I guess in that case, e7, king g6, king d6, king f7, king d7, h3, I guess. I guess I can just go for e7, right? e7, king g6, king d6. No, wait. e7 can't really stop my pawn from promoting, right? Not understanding. Is this correct? Oh my goodness. Oh, black to win for sure. Go for e7. I was reading the puzzle all wrong. I think my pawns are going this way. My opponent's pawns are going this way. So I guess in this case it's pretty easy. King f5 should win. Yeah, king f5 should win. Thanks, Vasu, but I guess I was reading the puzzle all wrong. I can't go go for e7 because the pawns are going this way. So yeah, king f5 should win because he needs one, two, three, four, five moves. I need what? One, two, three, four, five moves. Yeah. So king f5 should do the trick. Now let's just promote. And now I guess I can just stop the pawn also. Okay. Yeah. Now the only thing that I want to analyze over here is if I just promote king g6. Wait, what did I do? Yeah, he goes for king g7. I go for promoting the pawn. After h5, e3, h6. Oh wow, this is interesting because it's going to be checkmate with what queen g3 should be played here. Queen e7. Okay, that's interesting. Queen e7, king g8, and then king g6. Wow, this is nice. Yeah. Okay, black to draw. Yeah, black to draw. Let's make this the last piece of the stream. Although I got a streak there, but it's black to draw. Yeah, nice. So the e pawn is a pass pawn. My d pawn is also a pass pawn, but he has got his king over there, and I have to be the square of the pawn. Otherwise, I will lose. So let's say, and I think king d5 is just bad because of king d3. I have to move. He wins my pawn, and yeah, maybe that's not good. But look, he's going to win my pawn on d4 anyhow because let's say if I play king c6 with the idea of if he plays king d3, I'll play king d5. He can play e6, captures, captures, and then I can just, yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, I can just play there, right? I think king c6 should work here. I think black tried to play king d3, at which point of time king d5 makes sense because if he plays king e6, captures king d4, I get the opposition, and then it's a draw. Yeah, king c6 should be it. Yeah, nice. And now I can play king c5. Again, if he plays king d5, I can just king d3, king d5, right? Yeah, so this should be it. And now I can come to d5. He has to play e6 to generate some sort of play. He doesn't. Let's just come to c6 then. Let's see. What about king c5 here? I think I'll look into king c5 at this position later on, but let's just play king c6 here. That should be a draw. Yes, I can play king c6 here. Okay, wow, now this is interesting. I can play c5 here, right? Nice. Now I'm going to just do a quick analysis of. Wait, yeah, this starts with this, right? Yeah. Over here, I think both. Okay, in fact, you know what? Let me just replay this puzzle. King c6, king c5, and I think I can play king c5 or king c6. That both of them should work. Oh no, I can't play king c5 here because I need to play king d4. No, I can. I can. Actually, I can. As long as I can play king d5 when he plays king d3, that should be it. Come anywhere I want to. Yeah, got it. Um, okay, let's do one more before. Okay, so here's the thing: the moment we lose a pawn, or you know what, let's just keep it actually the last puzzle for the stream. I think I'm also getting a little tired of these puzzles. I see white to draw. The e pawn is a real threat. In fact, there's a lot of action going on the king side. King d3 is what I feel like, because look, I cannot leave this square of the pawn, so that's what I have to keep in mind. Also, the problem is at some point of time he can play king h, maybe pawn h3 takes, and now these two pawns will become real monsters. h3, if I go for g3, then he'll just push. That's also a problematic situation. So maybe king d3. But what's the idea after king d3? If he plays h3, takes, yeah, okay, then I can capture, right? Yeah. So king d3. Now the problem is, should I allow him to capture on my a pawn? I think king c2 also keeps my king in the square of the pawn. But then he's got king a4. King c2. I mean, king c2. Let's say he comes for my a pawn. King b4. King e2. King a3. And king f2. King a2. King e2. King b2. I really cannot take the opposition. So maybe let's h3. King c3. Go to maybe, yeah, okay, I have to play king c2, king d2, I mean king d3, and then somehow I have to try to hold on to these two squares. I mean, as long as I can shuffle between them. King e2, king a3, king f3, king a2, king e2, b2, king b2, bh3. The point is I cannot allow him to come to d3 at d2 at any cost, because then e2 square is taken away. Similarly, I can't allow him to. I mean, the idea is to keep control over e2 square. And that's what he's going for, right? However, now I can play a4 at this point of time, but then it doesn't work because maybe h3 here, h3, king c2, and then a4. I mean, obviously he just can't play king c2 because then a4 is just winning. h3, king c2 can't be played. King b2 maybe. King b2, I just go to f3, king a2, king e2, king b2, king f3, king c3 maybe. Come back, but after, let's say, king f3, f3, king b2. Ah, okay, wait. Uh, king e3 or h3. Let's say h3, king b2 is again bad. Oh, I see. That's interesting now. He can't play king b2 or king c2 at this point of time. Yeah, okay, maybe h3 does work here. Because if I play king f3, he has got what? Yeah, okay, I can play king f3, right? That should work. Maybe let's say king d4. I can still come to e2. That should work. Oh no, wait. King f3, king d2 is possible, right? Maybe h3 should work here. Yeah. Now I can just shuffle, right? King f3. Let's say he goes for king a3, king e2, king a2, king a2, king d1, king b1, king e2, king c3, and then I have to somehow give him with king f3 the control of d2, and then e2 is also gone. So maybe after king f3, king a3, king e2, king a2, king d1, king b3, king c1, king c3, king d1, king d3. Um, I'll be back in a moment. Um, yeah. Okay. Now this is a little interesting. Maybe I'm missing out on something really simple. But let's say king f3, king a3. Or maybe one sec. So the idea is, let's say I play king d3, king a3. Hmm. I think if he captures on a2 and then I play king d2, that should hold, right? Let's just imagine that the opponent's king is on a2 and my king is on e2. Then what can he do? King b2, king d1. This doesn't work, right? Yeah. Okay. I think I'll go for king f3. I'll keep things simple here. Yeah, got it. Yeah, so let me just do a quick analysis and then we'll end the stream for the day. Now let's see, king a3. How does white defend now? g3. Okay, now that's interesting. Obviously, taking with the h pawn does not make sense because then we get a passer. So let's say f takes king e3. We're still in the square of the pawn, so that's not an issue. King a4, king e2, king a3, king f3. Oh yeah, but what if he captures this way? King g2, king f3, king g2, king h1. So I'm coming closer to the pawn and king h1 maybe. Oh, then it will be a stalemate, right? Yeah. So king g1. Hmm. I mean, to win this pawn, he has to be on g2 somehow, right? Yeah, got it. Nice. 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 I guess that's the end of the stream for the day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Till then, take care and goodbye.